Hello and welcome to yet another episode of the Queer Superhero Show with myself, Mondi, the Queer Superhero, right here on YouTube. On this show, we pride ourselves in saying that sex work is work and it's something that we continue to advocate for and will never stop advocating for. As such platforms such as OnlyFans getting popular and booming in this country, we like to acknowledge creatives who are moving the sex work in Africa forward. And I think for me, it's one thing that I'll always support and continue to support for as long as I live. With me today is content creator, writer, actor, OnlyFans content creator, Marlon 67.
What it do?
What's up, baby?
I'm chilled. How you doing, boo?
I'm fantastic. It's always quite great to get to see you because we know each other so much.
Yeah.
And we've been following each other for quite a long time.
Yeah, it's been a minute.
And I think this is one interview that I've been looking forward to doing because we're going to talk about sex. And everybody that knows me and knows a lot of my Twitter history, I used to talk about sex quite a lot.
You still do.
I still do. I actually still do.
Yes.
You know, because I think sex positivity is something that's so amazing.
Yeah.
And I think that's something we should advocate for. But thank you so much for coming onto the show.
Thank you for having me.
I really, really, really appreciate it. So listen, on the show, we always pride ourselves in how people identify in their particular pronouns. So I often start off the show by saying, "Hi, my name is Monty, the queer superhero, and I identify as a queer, and my pronouns are they, them, and their." So how do you identify, and what are your pronouns?
Hi, my name is Marlon 67.
I love it.
I'm gay identifying, and my pronouns are he, him, Betty.
He and Betty.
You already know.
Listen, identity is a journey, you know? And it's something that I often remind people because very often people tend to think that we just woke up and decided to be queer. And I think that's just ridiculous. So can you take us to the earlier stages where you actually became aware of your particular identity?
It was my first kiss. Okay, not my first kiss. My first kiss with a guy, who happened to be my first love for 5 years.
Oh, great. How old were you?
I was in grade 11.
Okay.
I can't really remember what age that was, but I was in grade 11.
Maybe it's like 17.
No. I was in grade 10, late grade 10.
16.
Yes, I was in grade 10. He was in matric. So yeah, basically he was my tutor. He was tutoring me Afrikaans, because I was really horrible with Afrikaans. So after school every day, I used to go to his house or he'd come to my house and then we'd do the tutoring lessons. And on some random day, we were having like a random argument about like a stupid Afrikaans word.
Yeah.
And the argument ended up being a kiss. Yeah, like we ended up making out.
Wow.
That was quite weird for me.
Yeah.
It was quite weird for him as well. But both of us just acted on impulse and we were just drawn into what had just happened. And basically that's how like I kind of like identified like what I like, who I am, and that was the journey, the beginning. That was the
enlightenment of like being aware of it.
Yes,
I mean, that's so cool. I mean, I remember. I mean, I kind of always knew I was gay since I was like 6 years old or something. I mean, at the time I didn't have the language to be able to articulate it and say that I am gay, you know. But until I was like 14, 15, where like I'd be having wet dreams about boys, and then I'd be like, oh my god, this is like real, you know. Then I was like, this is real. And then I made out with a boy who was older than me, and it was just kind of like, whoa, I actually like this, you know. And the rest was history. And I think I was 15 at the time, so here we are today.
Almost same age,
right? No, I mean, that's when the hormones are starting to kind of be active, you know.
I mean, not for everyone. Some people start exploring this in varsity.
That's very true.
Yeah,
very
so
true. I mean, I didn't have sex until I was like in varsity.
Clearly, I started very early. I started very early.
Ooh, I am dead. So listen, when you became aware, you know, did you decide to share this with anyone? I mean, I think at the time when we all come out, you know, we often think about like, I need to protect myself, or you know, if people find out about this, there's a certain kind of shame that actually comes with that. But who were one of the people that you decided to share this with?
Okay, so at the time, I didn't have someone in person that I could like share this with because I grew up like around a lot of straight circles, so I didn't have anyone that I could like talk to about something like that had happened.
Yes.
However, I remember it was back in the Mixed days, and I was part of like a young group chat which was like about like 7 of us, and it was like gay people
Wow.
basically, and like we would just like have random like mixed chats about like, you know, like gay stuff or what would be happening. And yeah, those were the first people that I shared what happened with.
Yeah.
I didn't know them like in person, but
so
they
were, like,
felt like
digital friends.
yeah, like we just met on Mixed, like on a chat room, and then we just discovered that
Wow.
like we like guys. And yeah, that's
that was an interesting time back then.
yes,
Yeah,
very interesting. It was very comforting for me though, because like
Yeah.
every night I'll just log in onto Mixit and then like just have people to chat with, you know, about like random gay stuff that like no one in
No
my
one else in
circle
your
could
circle would
understand.
know.
Yeah.
That's so amazing. I mean, I often tell people that it is so important to pride yourself in, you know, in creating a digital community. A lot of the times, I mean, when we think about in other parts of the continent where, you know, it's kind of illegal to be queer, you know, I often encourage people in a lot of the spaces that I host that I think it's so important for us to create like a digital community where we can be able to kind of create a safe space for each other.
Yeah.
So I understand when you're able to say that, you know, Mixit became that kind
Yeah.
of platform for you back then. And I think for me, that's such a beautiful thing. So queer people experience quite a lot of prejudice. You know, and prejudice comes in many forms. I often remind people of that people often think that prejudice is you having a physical altercation only. But no, there are many things. There's microaggressions that people do. You know, I'm very keen to find out what are some of the prejudices that you have experienced, you know, even earlier back then when you were still younger, or even now in your life, a particular incident that you can take us to.
Okay, I'll just touch on like back in the younger days. So I also grew up being a gamer. I'm very big like on video games. So I grew up like being that little boy at the arcade games, like, you know, like being within like video games and stuff like that.
Yeah.
The prejudice that I remember like experiencing during those days was the fact that I was a gay man, you know, around like spaces where, but like arcades were just straight boys,
Yeah.
you know, and there I was with my cute self in my cute colors, with my pretty self going there like amongst like a whole group of like
How old were
straight
you at that
boys.
time?
I was still a teenager, like
Yeah.
13, 14, around
Yeah.
those times. Yeah. But I do remember that in my teenage chapters, I would only go to like arcade games when I would like visit my grandmother's side, because when I was at home, they made sure that they buy me TV games, PlayStation, everything, to just stay at home and
that's
play.
lovely.
Yeah, because most of the times I would come back home like crying, saying, you know, like I got teased about me being gay and stuff like that. So I think maybe they were just like, ugh, just stay home and play your games in here, you know. But I was still that boy that wanted to be within the arcade games, and I feel like I've always just stood up for myself, like, you know, even when I'd like experience prejudice. For instance, like would have like tournament games whereby like the boys would bet like money and would say, okay, cool, let's play a game of King of Fighters, Street Fighter, or whatever. Those who win take the money, you know. So they would pick like teams, and I would always be picked last, you know, because they were like, ah, what does this gay boy know? Until I actually get onto like the actual arcade and show them flames, you know. That was always the case. I always show them flames, like that's actually how like I kind of like change their perspectives about, you know, like about, what they thought, you know, because they would be like, whoa, like I'm getting thrashed by this gay nigga, like, you know. So yeah, those were the prejudice that like I do remember experiencing. Most of the times it was like around like gamers and stuff like that.
I mean, I can imagine being young, you know, being denied the ability to be yourself. It's such a horrible thing. I mean, you try to occupy different spaces. I even often think about people who are athletic and they like do sports in school, and you know, sports are predominantly very cishet and heterosexual, and they push that ideology, you know, and it becomes very difficult to be queer in such spaces. I mean, I can imagine gaming as well, which is predominantly heterosexual, you know, and to try and occupy that space on its own, it becomes a very difficult thing to do, you know. I mean, you mentioned the fact that, you know, your family would buy you games and they'd want you to stay at home and kind of just, you know, be in your own little world. I mean, I want to talk about being black and queer. You know, a lot of the times, you know, family plays a very important role. You know, is this something that you shared with them, and how did they receive you?
With regards to like my sexual identity,
sexual identity,
to be honest, I didn't really have to share. It's almost like they knew, like especially my mom. So my mom passed away when I started high school, but I feel like my identity started way before that. It started in primary, but I didn't know. She knew. So like I would have like instances whereby like I said, I'd come home and like I'd be crying, and then she'd be like, "Why are you crying?" I'm like, "No, I'm teased for doing this, whatever, blah blah." And then she was like, "Don't worry, like
Wow,
that's
what a
you,
futuristic mom.
you know." But she passed away, like I said, when I started high school,
My condolences,
and then thank you. My dad assumed that it was like a phase,
yeah.
because he also, him coming from where he comes from, he didn't understand how I grew around straight friends, yet I am gay, So to him, it was just a matter of, no, it's just a phase,
Yeah.
and then he'll like get over it, My siblings, my best friend is my older sister. Like she's literally the male version of me. I'm the female version of her.
Oh wow.
And
oh, wow.
yeah, she was also the one person that like but I only started sharing like stuff like this with her like when I was about to finish high school. Yeah, but she encouraged it because since she's the firstborn and I lost my mom at a very young age and I'm the lastborn, she had to take that role. And since my mom was already that like affirming person who was like, "It's okay to be you, by all means be." My mom used to buy me dolls. And my mom used to like buy me dolls and like, "Okay, go play in there. Don't let people see you, whatever. I know you like this, So my sister had to take that role, and she became my mom, like with regards to that sense. So
That's so beautiful. I love it. I think growing up in an affirming environment really builds a very, very strong and confident queer child, And I think for me, that's what every queer child deserves and needs in this world, To be able to be surrounded by that love, it makes you very confident.
Yeah.
And that's what you need. You need a lot of confidence to be able to navigate through life and to overcome certain things. But is there one particular thing that you wish you knew when you were in school that you know now?
Never allow yourself to be boxed. Because I was boxed a lot growing up. Because I was an A grade student, I'm supposed to take physics, mathematics, whatever. What if I want to take drama? Even though like I was like, an A grade student, stuff like that. I was always boxed throughout. Like I only stopped allowing myself to be boxed when I left corporate. Because throughout I've just been boxed from high school to varsity to corporate, boxed based on like my academic achievements, based on like me being smart, whatever the case may be. I feel like I was ripped off the opportunity to allow myself to express myself in different ways, like whether be it creatively or whatever the case may be, that wasn't inside that box of, oh no, you're smart, you're supposed to do this. Yeah. So that's one thing I wish I knew back then.
I think that's so beautiful.
Yeah.
That's so beautiful because a lot of the times as young people, we get so easily boxed in things. We get told that if we try to be ourselves and if we try to kind of embrace that thing, it's going to lead us to not actually getting to be the people that we want to be in our lives. Like we're going to fail and we're going to receive all these other things. I want us to talk a little bit about masculinity. Have you ever found yourself in a position where you had to perform masculinity in order for you just to feel safe or to assert yourself in a space? And I ask this because I remember when I was still journeying through my identity as a person, I always knew that people, when you dress in a certain way, like if I dressed up in a masculine way and I wore a suit and I wore whatever, people perceived me automatically as straight. They didn't know how I generally would identify, and I knew that it warranted some kind of respect from them because I dressed in a way that made them feel like I'm heterosexual. Have you ever been in a position where you felt like you needed to perform masculinity to feel safe?
A lot of times actually, and some of the times were even like cases whereby like I felt like that's how it's supposed to be, because like I said, like I had been boxed a lot of times. So, even in my I've never really been in a closet. Like as much as like I've always had straight friends, but like they always knew. However, them being comfortable, going back into like that age, them being comfortable was most of the time because I was very masculine presenting.
Yes.
So part of me is like, were you really masculine presenting, or were you being masculine presenting just so that the people next to you or around you can be like comfortable with you, But to answer your question, yes, I've had to play masculine a lot of times, especially when I first moved to Joburg. So I'm the type of person that, like, in as much as like I'd rock this fit, I'd get this from like a boutique or like whatever.
Yeah.
But the shoes, I'd go thrifted. I'd go to Joburg Central. I wanna go to Small Street, you know, and whatever, you know. So I'd be there, and most of the times, like, the streets of Joburg at that time were very intimidating to me. So I had to be intimidating so that, like, I can feel safe. So for me to feel safe, I had to be very masculine presenting, you know. Funny enough, that has changed. Like right now, I strut. I will strut in the I strut in the streets of Joburg right now. I'll have my earphones on, and depending on whatever music is playing, it will change the rhythm of how I'm strutting,
Literally.
you know. But I definitely had to have been in so many situations whereby I had to be masculine presenting so that I can feel safe. Definitely.
I mean, would you say that there's a certain level of privilege that comes with masculinity? I think a lot of the times people fail to want to acknowledge that aspect, you know, and I think it's something that we've got to be able to touch base on and acknowledge the fact that there's certain privileges that a person gets because they are queer, masculine presenting.
Yep.
Yeah.
So many. I can even talk about like personal experiences, like in a gay circle, there is that privilege because I've felt favored in queer communities because I was masculine presenting. You know, I felt favored in straight communities because I was masculine presenting. I felt privileged in like a corporate space because I was masculine presenting, you know. So I have actually many experiences whereby like I myself had to even put myself in that masculine like presenting like state so that I know I can get this privilege, you know. So the privilege is definitely there. It's definitely there, and it's so sad that it's actually there even in the queer community.
Yeah, literally.
You know, because like looking back and I'm like, whoa, like this person would have treated me much better had they met me like 5 years ago when I was just predominantly like masculine presenting, you know. And it's kind of sad.
It is very very sad.
The truth is the privilege is there. Like especially in corporate, like
thank you so much for that, because a lot of the times people feel like there's an attack when you call out masculinity, and I think it's so important for us to note some of the privileges that it has, you know, because we see it. I mean, when we go out in public and we're dressed in the most feminine of ways, we do get looked at. We get gawked at and made to feel like we're less than, and all of those things, and sometimes it can become very overwhelming to be out in public dressed the way that you want to be dressed, you know.
Can I share actually something like with regards to that recently? Because I was at the ball and I went as a femme body, so I had a wig on. I was looking very femme and very sexy, you know. After the ball, you know, went to like Shell to like, you know, get like late night munchies because I mean we just came from the ball, we were blunting and everything, and damn, like actually like I felt what women or like femme presenting bodies feel. It's not nice, and I'm like, they have to go through this each and every day. Shit, like I remember getting out of the Uber, getting into like the actual like fueling station. There was just a whole bunch of like taxi drivers there and whatever, and they started thirsting. Like they were thirsting. Like some of them approached, you know, wanted to like, you know, like make advances and everything like that. And
that
was just so uncomfortable, you know. And how I know that I felt uncomfortable is that like when I'm getting that type of attention, when I'm dressed like this as myself, I love it. I love the attention. Like by all means, like come through. But there's something that like felt very uncomfortable, like me being in I felt objectified, if I can put it like that, you know.
Definitely.
And it's sad.
Because it doesn't mean if you wear revealing clothes that you want to be objectified. You know, it doesn't warrant you to treat me the way that you think I should be treated because I'm wearing revealing clothing. You know, and I think this on itself also touches base on sex work in itself. You know, and when you look at it, it's like people think just because you're a sex worker, they can treat you the way that they want to treat you. And I think for me, that's kind of inappropriate, and it's something that we need to get over. You know, and not really promote at all. But I think the most important thing, I mean, how do you navigate relationships with cishet men? And I ask this question because I somewhat no longer feel safe in straight spaces. And sometimes when I'm friends with straight people, when they are around their other straight friends, I tend to feel a little bit on edge, you know, and uncomfortable. So how do you navigate that?
Okay. Fortunately, like my friends with my like I said, 80% of my friends are straight.
Yeah.
You know. But because I always like affirm my boundaries wherever I go, you know. So the friends that I am friends with are friends with me because of who I am, not because of what sexual orientation I am and stuff like that, you know. So the straight friends that I have, like, I don't have to compromise myself for them to feel comfortable. Like I'm myself wherever we are, even when we are with their friends. Like, I'm still myself, you know. Like, I have the type of friends that would, if we go to a different like setting that's new for me, and then like maybe there's someone else who's not used to like queer people being around, they take it upon themselves to be like, yo, this is my boy, and it's either you respect him or I'm out.
I love that,
you know. So fortunately I have friends like that. But then again, I don't think I'd be friends with straight guys or straight girls that like do not, you know,
not
like, definitely, like, it was a journey for me to be comfortable myself, so I wouldn't compromise that like with anyone, whether you are a friend. Like, I feel like boundaries are not immune to anyone. Boundaries are not immune to family. I can create boundaries around family. I don't care whether we are related with blood or whatever, you know. Boundaries are not immune to like friends, anything, you know. So I never get well in my straight or cishet like friendships, but I do know that there's
it can become a bit of a lot sometimes. There's a lot of challenges that a lot of people face there, but I think it's important to note that there are people that create a safe space for you, and I think for me, if you can be able to navigate those relationships but feel safe, that's good, you know?
But it also takes it's your responsibility as well to educate and create those, like, because I always do that. Like, I always do that in whatever spaces I am. Like, I always create that awareness, even though like maybe it's something that they were not like aware of, that maybe they were doing, because also they have that heteronormative privilege, you know. Sometimes they do things that they actually don't realize that, oh, it's actually inappropriate, cool, you know. So I always remind them, like,
that's cool.
I don't care whether you're my friend or not, I will put you in your place.
It's like that whole idea I always tell people, when for example people are internally homophobic, I think I always call that thing out, you know, because I think it's so inappropriate. Like, you cannot be queer and in a queer setting you are being internally homophobic to somebody else. That I found that so like redundant sometimes. I'm like, what? Why are you doing that? We're in the same ward. People are all fighting for their lives. You know, so you can't be out here trying to be like, because if they say there's going to be an attack on queer people, they're coming for all of us.
Both of us, exactly.
Be like, no, you are.
Oh, yes, exactly. No, they're coming for you too.
They're coming for all of us. Yeah, but anyway, purpose is very important. And I think it's a very important discussion. I often tell, my friends as well. I mean, do you feel like you found your purpose? And what does purpose mean to you?
Oh, that's a beautiful question, because I definitely have found my purpose. The first time I found my purpose was when I was in varsity. I was a peer educator. I was a peer educator and counselor on campus. So I was part of a center on campus that basically had a 9-week program whereby we invite any student that wants to learn and whatever. We sit down every week, and for 2 hours we discuss things that we normally don't discuss with our elders or stuff like that, you know. So I was facilitating that program. So I had like different students from all across the country, you know, a student that comes from the villages that has never been around, like, you know, people in the urbans, a student that comes from a very white family that has never been around black people, a student that comes from a very like homophobic family that has, you know, and like, it was just so beautiful, like, going through those weeks and seeing their perspectives change, you know. So that's the first time I felt my purpose. Then from varsity moved to corporate. Kind of lost my purpose because
you weren't really into it that much.
Yeah, like, and as much as like I was in IT. I was in IT corporate. Each and every day, like, I would leave the office having over 50 people that I helped with like different things. But it wouldn't feel the same as that one person in varsity in my class that came to me and said, I think I said something rude to like a gay person. what do you think I can do to change that? That, like, fucking, like,
it made your heart
yes,
pump,
you know.
darling.
So through me being like a sex worker, pornographic actor, and an adult entertainer, I found the purpose that I felt when I was a peer educator, because my industry is a very taboo industry. You know, it's an industry whereby like people don't talk about like everything and everything. You know,
in so many ways.
But my purpose is to make it vivid, make it I create these conversations. I want to be part of these conversations. I push the awareness through the platform that I have. You know, like I have the privilege that, like, you know, I have a very big platform, and I'm very much open to, like, you know, doing collaborations with like institutions that, like, you know, are for sex positivity, body positivity, you know, stuff like that. So I really have found my purpose in what I'm doing currently.
I love that.
Yeah.
Love that so much. You know, listen, I really think that for me gets me so excited. I mean, can we talk a little bit about cyberbullying? And I mean, we're going to get into a conversation to talk more about, you know, sex work and what it is that you really get to do. But I also wanted to have a great understanding of where you come from, the things that you've been through. But I want us to talk a little bit about cyberbullying, because a lot of your work entails you being on a digital platform. If we look back at the history, I mean, when you started getting comfortable with your identity as well, you were using digital platforms. You know, how do you navigate cyberbullying? And I mean, is this something that you have dealt with?
To be honest, I don't think I put myself in a space to allow myself to be cyberbullied. I know it's there. I'm not disputing that it's not, you know. But I affirm myself so much in a sense that, like, you know what, I found my purpose, and like no matter what you say, like you can't change that.
Definitely.
You know, so I feel like people, this is also like an advice that I can give to like people that are listening. People target like bullies.
Yeah.
They target someone that they can see that, okay, cool, there's a little bit of vulnerability here, we can go for it. You know, because cyber bullies want to get an effect after doing the bullying activity, you know. So cyberbullying for me, like, it kind of happened like early 2020 when like my brand basically started, but that was like one or two like occurrences, and like I really didn't give them any power, you know. And I feel like because of the way that I carry myself in the work that I do, you know, like I don't frown upon whatever I do, you know. So I feel like there's that gave me like the ability to not be like prone to like cyberbullying, really, because I can't say like I can remember a time whereby like I was you know. I don't take like slut shaming as cyberbullying, because to me,
I mean, hey, look, it is cyberbullying in a sense.
It is.
If somebody's gonna be out there calling out your body, slut shaming you, saying all of these horrible things, it is cyberbullying. You know? And I think it's something that we should not condone. And I always want to be able to block people when they're doing something like that. And I think it's inappropriate for people to be able to do that and disrespect other people's craft and the work that they're doing. You know. So I totally understand what you mean. I mean, and I love the fact that you are not allowing yourself to be a victim of that. And you're choosing to say, I'm not going to entertain that as part of my life, because there's a work that I have to do.
Yeah.
So thank you so much for that.
Yeah.
I'm really enjoying this chat.
I am too.
I'm loving it, darling. You're slaying, darling. Make sure that you do the damn things that need to be done. We're going to be getting into a little bit of some identity to define. And when we're back, we're going to continue with this beautiful and insightful conversation. See you after this.
Hi guys, my name is Letabo Bering. I'm a proud, out, visible South African man. My pronouns are he, him, they, them, and I'm attracted to men. As long as you're cute, you breathe. Anything goes. I don't have a specific type. Feminine, masculine presenting. Yeah, anything goes.
That was Identity Defined right here on the Queer Superhero Show. I'm still chatting to Marlon 67, and we're chatting about quite a lot of things. I always think it's so important for us to understand where a person comes from, you know, the things that they've gone through, their childhood, their upbringings, the things that they've managed to kind of overcome over the years. And one thing that we were talking about before we went away, we spoke a lot about, cyberbullying and a lot of that. And the reason I asked that is because I want us to touch on mental health, you know, and just before we get into the sex work part and a bit of everything, because I feel, you know, mental health is something that even sex workers get to go through as well. So, you know, have you had a fair share of dealing with mental health, and how have you navigated that?
Funny enough, the time I had like my episodes of mental health was when I was still in corporate, because that's when I wasn't choosing my happiness.
Yeah,
And I think
yeah.
that's when like I was prone to be like, compromising my mental health. Yeah, but that went out the window after I quit corporate. However, it's out the window because I practice mental health all the time. Like I maintain my mental health. So every 2 months, I take myself to Cape Town, because that's where I get to meditate and disconnect from the world.
Yes.
So I take myself to Cape Town, book myself in a hotel, and disconnect.
Yeah.
Switch off my phone. I just wake up, go to the beach, meditate, come back, go have like a solo brunch, read a book, come back, sleep. Like I meditate, go into nature, and just like do that, because a lot of times, like within the sex work practices that I do, like I meet a lot of different energies, and sometimes like a client's problems can actually get to you because,
Yeah, very true.
for instance, like you find that a client has booked me for an hour. Cool. It's a client that has like drama with his wife, whatever, blah, blah, blah. Cool. Booked me for an hour. First 10 minutes he's already came because my sex is bomb and he's not used to that sex because that wife is not giving him that. So for the rest of the 50 minutes, I am his therapist because this man is telling me how his marriage is, what's not working, what his wife is making him feel like, whatever. And I'm there to like, just like comfort him and whatever, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And sometimes that can take a toll on your mental health as well, So that's why like I always take time for myself to just go away, not do any bookings, not do any sex work, not do anything but meditate and just cleanse and realign my chakras because I'm a chakra han.
Yes, shout out to Chakra.
I'm a chakra han. I'm an astrologer. Leo sun, Libra sun, Leo moon, Cancer rising. So yeah, I practice like maintaining like my mental health because it's very important. Yeah.
I mean, you mentioned that you were in corporate and now, you eventually ventured on into sex work. I mean, what really inspired you to say, you know what, I'm going to be a sex worker and this is going to be my job and I'm going to love it. I'm going to be going into it and I'm going to be like, I don't care about what you bitches going to say. I'm going to be doing this. I mean, really, I'm very fascinated to find that out.
So the inspiration behind me quitting corporate wasn't entirely based on me becoming a sex worker because at that time I wasn't really a full-time sex worker.
Yeah.
But the time I quit corporate, I was on YFM. I had a radio show. Those were one of my motivations because I'd feel the differences when I'm in corporate and when I'm like in a studio with other creatives and stuff, like I'd feel like so energized and so happy, and funny enough, I'd only spend like an hour like in studio at the YFM studios and then have to go back to the office, which was so sad because like I'd be there for that hour and then I wouldn't want to go, but I have office work waiting for me, So there was that. There were so many other factors from how I was told how to dress, how to behave and stuff like that. And it was so weird because like, I'd have like instances whereby like, because I was doing IT, right?
Yeah.
I'd get assigned and most of the time I would get assigned to like, help an executive with like, their IT issue because the IT head figured out that I have interpersonal skills, So I'd get there in the exec's office, take off my blazer. I usually would wear like short sleeves, which would show my tattoos. I'd button my shirt till like my cleavage here, and then I remember some other time my IT head, like when I was done like helping one of the execs, came to me and was like, there are married men here, and I'm like, so? It's like, yeah, I feel like you must wear a long sleeve, just button your shirt till here, and I'm like, that time I am bending over under desks, I am opening switchboards and motherboards, and I am sweating, and you still want me, and the fact that like I would be helping an executive and they wouldn't have a problem with that. If anything, they would love how I'm very interactive while I'm like, helping them with their like technical issues, because one of the major things that like the exec liked that I was different from my IT team is because IT team is full filled with nerds. I'm a very different type of nerd, you know. Whereas like maybe they would assign this issue to someone else, they would go there and just be a nerd and just work on the issue. I get there, I'm talking to you while I'm helping you with your IT issue, finding out how your day was, you know. And most of the time that's what people want, especially someone who's not technologically inclined.
Yeah.
You know, you need to assure them that, okay, cool, everything's gonna be fine. And I'm also very truthful. Like if I feel like, okay, cool, this issue is big for like what I'm doing, I'll tell them like, listen, I'm still trying to figure it out. Do you want to give me like 10 more minutes to do that? You know, stuff like that, you know. But to be honest, like I started being very unhappy like with corporate. One, I also wasn't a morning person as well, so waking up every day in the morning was an issue for me. A lot of people, when I tell people this, they're like you sounding very privileged, like people like don't have jobs, they would love to wake up, and I'm like, but I grew up to be told that, okay, cool, because you have this, you know, if it doesn't make me happy, it doesn't make me happy.
Definitely.
Like I am not gonna sit here and pretend that like, okay, just because I have this job it makes me happy. No, if it doesn't, it doesn't. And me choosing myself is valid. That is always valid, you know. So I remember like the October 2019. October is my birthday month.
Oh,
so I took the whole month leave. I took myself to Dubai and Bali just to do like a self-love journey, like a self-love vacation, you know. I remember firstly they didn't want me to take leave. I had like over 30 days of leave because I was the type of person that doesn't get sick. So I never use my sick leave, you know. So when I had to take my leave, they had an issue. No, you can't take leave for more than 2 weeks. But why? I have 30 days on the system. Why can't I use them? You know, stuff like that. No, because you're you know, one of the best in the team, whatever. That's not my issue. Get other people so that they can do what I'm doing or whatever the case may be, you know. But if I need to take time for myself, I need to take time for myself. And I feel like corporate doesn't, like, they don't care. Like, corporate doesn't care, guys. You'd be sick and they'll be like, hey, you need to be there, you know. So it's stuff like that. Like, I just introspected during this vacation. Then I came back and then I was like, I'm out. At that time, I wasn't even a sex worker, you know. So sex work for me only started in April 2020, because that's when like DL Fuck Passion, which was a story that I released in September 2019, became popular, and then everyone wanted more of it, and then people were like, we want more, we want visuals, and I'm like, listen, I'm not just an IT graduate for nothing. I was also a business management major. I had a business management major, and in one of the modules we were taught to see a gap in the market and utilize it. So when people were like, we want visuals, I'm like, oh, okay. I'm an actor. I can take what I wrote and act as the main character, and I did that. And that's how like I got into like porn, because like
and that was just before COVID. So like
it was
boomed more because now people were indoors.
Exactly. During COVID, like my popularity went like
it flew because people were looking for more entertainment.
And at that time I stopped having like gigs at the club because I used to work at the strip club. So there were no gigs at the club. There was nothing, COVID. You know. So that actually really worked for me.
What inspired the name Marlon 67? I mean, it's very interesting. I mean, when people think about, if I'm gonna go into porn, what would be my porn name? 60, Lebra, you know, something. But you, Marlon 67, honey.
So I went to the University of Pretoria, right? And there used to be this gay nude bar called Sauna Boys. It was in Linwood. Not a lot of people actually knew about it.
I mean, you know, La Cantina in Pretoria.
That's not even a nude bar. That's like a gay bar.
It's a gay bar. You know, that's the only bar.
La Cantina. La Cantina. La Cantina is actually still popping.
Guys,
it's still popping.
My university years, I used to be in the season. I was that girl. They better respect me.
So anyway, so then I went to this nude bar. Got there. So when you get to the nude bar, you pay, and then you take your clothes off, and you basically like sign in like the register. I was like, I'm definitely not using my name. What do I feel like on that day? I felt like a Marlon, you know. I felt like a Marlon, so I wrote Marlon. And the 67 comes from the fact that I've always had this narrative in my head that 67 will be a household name. Even way before like I started watching Pose or like Paris is Burning, you know, knowing about like houses, you know. I was like, okay, cool. I am Marlon 67. And that's how it came out.
Look
And
at you.
when I was in that nude bar, I embodied Marlon 67. Marlon 67 is a fearless bitch. Marlon 67 is a bad bitch. Marlon 67 is a sex
She a
positive
bad bitch.
person.
You already know.
Body positive. Marlon 67,
Come on.
they'll be like, take off your clothes. Marlon 67 will take them off now and still feel
Yes.
comfortable, you know? So that's where Marlon 67 comes from.
I mean, you spoke a little bit about the ballroom culture, which is something that's important, that holds houses very dearly. I mean, and you have invented a new house called, House of 67. What really inspired that? I mean, I recently also I was at the ballroom and I launched my house of Lamont.
Yes,
And I have two daughters, and it's really lovely, So, I mean, what really inspired House of 67?
All right. So House of 67 really, like, I've always had the narrative, like I said, that like I was gonna have a house, but I didn't know like that it was gonna be House of 67.
Yeah.
But what really pushed me was that each and every day I'd wake up and I'd get like gazillions of DMs, like people DMing Marlon, like, oh my gosh, I love what you do. How can I do this? Oh,
Yeah.
can you be my mentor? Do this and whatever. And I was like, you know what? Instead of being a mentor, I'd like to be like a house father or a house mother. So I'm a house father, but they call me mother.
Yes,
Mother of
obviously,
House of 67 years.
yes.
So I was like, you know what? I'm actually gonna start a house,
Yes.
and in my house, I just want people that are passionate about their purposes. Like we all have our different purposes, like in the house.
Definitely.
I have Star, who is my house brother, who is very passionate about like videography and being a porn director. So he
Wow.
is currently my
I love
porn
that.
director.
People are really loving. They want to push the porn direction thing, and I think I love that because that's gonna like really change up the scene as well and
Yep.
make it more good quality. And I
Yep.
think that's all we need because we've got the stars, we've got the people that really want to be doing porn. Which I think
Yes.
is beautiful.
But the thing is, or like the trick is that House of 67 is not only about that. Like we're not only like about people that are passionate in like sex
in the
work.
sex work
Yeah,
lane. That's beautiful.
I have 2 house daughters. One of them is a farmer. She's a
Oh, wow.
black-owned female farmer. She owns a farm, and she's also an owner of a rolling paper brand called Nation. She's actually one of like the first few people in the country that are black and are
Yes.
female that own a farm and actually create something from the farm.
Yeah.
So she's also a DJ. Her stage name is Darth Vagina.
Yeah.
I also have a daughter who is in corporate. She's in corporate, but she's also like a theater girl. Like her creative passion is theater and stuff like that. So that basically shows that the house is not necessarily about like people that are sex workers, but anyone that has a passion
and that
and
needs
wants
a
to
home
push
and
the
feel
passion.
included.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So yeah, the house is about that. We cater for like each and everyone, like queers and allies.
Yeah.
My house brother is straight identifying, my house daughters are queer identifying,
Wow,
and I am
nice.
sexually fluid. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, look, the ballroom scene is kind of getting very popular in South Africa. There's a lot of, ballroom scenes out there that are happening. What is your opinion on the current stance when we look at ballroom in South Africa in particular?
Okay. Ballroom makes me so happy because it's one platform that basically gives us like the platform to express ourselves. But particular the ballroom culture in Joburg, I think there's a long way to go. There's underlying politics that are there.
Definitely.
That I think we should work on like eradicating them.
Yes.
Like ball is not about like who's popular or who is popular in the streets or who ball is about like inclusivity.
Yeah.
Ball is about family.
Yes.
I feel like if anything, like the balls like must only allow houses to participate in walks, because that's what the culture is about.
Very true.
Watch Paris is Burning, watch Pose, like it's about that. It's not just about snatching those trophies. I always tell my house that like when we walk at a ball, it's not about us snatching a trophy. It's about like us having fun
and being represented as a house as well,
representing the house and just like being around queer people and like expressing ourselves freely. So I really feel like ball culture has a long way to go in Johannesburg or in South Africa.
Definitely.
But it really is something that can be worked on. I'd like to see more of Le Grand Ball because that's where I've actually felt like, okay, this is it. This is the
Yes,
community.
yes.
You know, so I'd like to see more of Le Grand Ball. I'd like to see more of other balls, really.
Yeah,
like,
definitely.
if House of Lamont starts a
Yeah,
ball,
right.
honey, we
if
are
House of
coming.
Lamont is out there doing the most, honey, you gotta let us see.
Yes, you know.
No, definitely.
Yeah.
I love that. I mean, I think, there is room for growth.
Yeah.
And I think that's one thing that we're going to begin to see as we go forward. I think I am proud of the girls persevering in that space. I'm proud that there are people who are actually kind of just pushing that ideology.
Yeah.
Because very often we tend to neglect that. And that's one way for us to kind of grow our community forward.
Yes.
I mean, you're a man of many talents. And I hear that you're going to be in the new season of Unmarried. Can you tell us a little bit about that? How did you get the role? How did you audition and get casted?
Okay. My character is a very dramatic character.
Ooh, drama, honey.
My character is very dramatic. My character is a femme body.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
lovely.
my character wears wigs.
Ooh,
Like my character
child, you
is.
are coming in with drama.
Yeah, my character is a bad bitch. You know, my character is very fun. But like what I want to touch on with regards to me being on a production like that or production like Ferguson Films.
Yeah.
I remember my experience also like when I was with other actors when we are like doing makeup and whatever. You know, we ask each other, what do you do outside of acting?
Yeah.
You know, and one thing that I always like am proud about is what I do. You know,
Yeah.
I told them I'm a porn star.
Yeah.
I'm a porn star. I'm an adult entertainer. You know, and that's one thing that I want to push.
Yes.
So that when someone
Comes so normal.
yes, exactly. Like when
yeah.
someone hears that Marlon 67 is a pornographic actor, that's not the only acting I can do. I can do
Yes.
TV acting, I can do theater acting, I can do whatever acting, you know. And me carrying myself like that will basically try and like eradicate the stigma
Definitely,
around
definitely.
sex workers because it's not like just because I'm a sex worker the only thing I can do is have good sex or sell sex, you know. There's so many other things I can do creatively. Like I said, I'm a writer, I'm a model, I'm an actor, you know, all of that. So yeah, being on set was so fun. Ferguson
Yeah, I
Film
can
set
imagine.
is really, really fun, you know. Being with all the other actors and creators, like it was very beautiful. My role is a cameo role. So far I'm gonna be on the first episode,
Yeah.
2 scenes. I'm not sure yet if I'm gonna have any other scenes, but
Scenes, yeah, that's lovely.
I'm happy that, like, you know, they firstly a queer role is taken by a queer person.
Yes.
I'm really happy about that, and I'm really happy that like I get to explore like many different characters. You know, the last
Yes.
character that I did on TV was also a queer character, but masculine presenting. You know, now I am like a non-binary character.
Oh, wow,
you know,
that's
so
lovely.
that's very I actually really enjoy. It's coming out on the 8th of April.
Yes, y'all gotta do it,
So
y'all gotta-
Zala, Mzansi Magic Show Max.
Yeah,
Yeah.
shout out. I think it's amazing that we're getting to see more visibility and more representation in that way on television. We need more of it, particularly in South Africa, particularly on the African continent. I think it is something that we continuously need to advocate for, and shout out to you for being able to be given that opportunity and for also advocating for sex workers within having multifacets. You
Yes.
know? And I think for me, that's also an exciting thing. I mean, let's talk a little bit about how do you choose your clients and how do you measure your rates. And I ask this because a lot of the times somebody even did ask me the other day, I was like, yeah, but how do people in sex work actually calculate, this is how I'm going to charge, this is, how do you get to choose your clients? Because obviously, I think, do the clients choose you or do you choose the clients?
So the clients choose me. First of all, I'm a premium escort. So what that means is that if you can't afford the
Shala
sex
party,
the sex
darling.
experience that I'm gonna give you,
Yeah.
don't chance. You know. So I don't choose my clients. My clients come to me. And basically, they'll be like, okay, cool, I want to book you for this and that. Then I decide if I want to take the client or not. You know, but most of the time, my clients, it's based on who can afford.
Yes.
You know, because my services, like, are very premium, like I said. You know, but yeah, I basically like do not choose my clients. They just basically come to me. So as well with like collaborations,
Yeah.
people come to me and then I choose if I want to collaborate with you or whatever the case may be. But I don't negotiate my rates.
Yeah.
If a client cannot afford my rates,
out.
then out with it. Like
If you ain't got the money, don't come to my road. If you ain't got the money. Yeah, listen, if you ain't got the money, don't come to it, honey.
Yeah, no.
Don't try to do the most.
Nah.
Listen, it. I think it's so interesting how, there's not really much of a porn industry in South Africa, and I want to get your take on it. I mean, what do you think about, just the porn industry at large, not particularly focusing on queer content creators? I mean, there are such platforms as OnlyFans, and what is your take on OnlyFans and on the porn industry, particularly in South Africa?
Okay, I'm gonna start with your question with regards to OnlyFans. What I like about OnlyFans is that it gives you the agency to decide what and how you wanna do it.
Nice.
For instance, right now sex work is not legal in South Africa. Which makes other sex workers find themselves in situations whereby they accept rates that they wouldn't generally charge for, and stuff like that. But what I like about OnlyFans is you choose what content you want to put on there, and you choose how much you want to sell your content for. So that gives sex workers the agency to just feel empowered and be like, okay, excuse me, feel empowered and be like, okay, cool, I can do this my way, basically, okay, yeah, so that's the part of the OnlyFans.
Yes.
You also asked about porn in South Africa. Yes. Long way to go.
Yeah, I mean, people are trying.
Yes.
The people are trying.
What I can say is from the time that I actually started in the industry to now, I've seen
progress,
a whole lot of progress,
I'm loving those guys, the ones that film in the soccer match.
Oh, Raw Boys, Mzansi Raw Boys.
Coming along very nice, they've been pushing it up. I mean, look, let me tell you something. A lot of the people overseas, they want to see some Africans having sex in a shack.
Yes.
Because there's a kind of that
yes,
fetishization happening. They want to be like, ooh,
yes,
in a shack. It's very different from their
yes.
world. So I only say to myself, if you just get a good camera in there,
yes,
you're gone.
You know what? I can
gone.
touch on that, but I'm not sure if I'm allowed to.
You can, girl.
Oh yeah, cool. So my experience with Mzansi Raw Boys is that I love their creative concepts. I love how they literally are really down for being African and producing that African content. I, however, do not agree with how they do how they run their things, from the management role and stuff. I feel like there's some sort of not even entitlement, but the sex workers that they book, they treat them like you're just a sex worker. Yeah, and I don't like that because they once tried booking me, and there's a certain way in which I want someone to, speak to me or whatever the case may be. I don't care whether you pay me or not, but speak to me I'm a fucking human being,
Yes.
So there's just a couple of stuff that I don't generally agree with them with regards to their logistics and how they do stuff, but with regards to their content, love it.
Yeah.
Love it.
Yeah, no, I think it's great. So
but we still have a long way to go, with regards to the South African industry. But with the likes of Oli, she's really pushing yes, for the straight porn industry, she's pushing.
It filmed properly now.
Yes. Casey Waves is one of her. Yeah. Shout out to Casey. I love Casey Waves. Casey is a very great ally.
Yeah. Ally.
I love straight guys like that,
Love him.
Yeah. I'd like to actually collaborate with Casey Waves, but
Casey, if you're watching, honey, hit us.
Yeah, soon. Yeah. Let me get your money right so that because I have a production company that I'm collaborating with and I do my work with, but I'm also open to collaborating with other creatives, so that to get a different But the South African porn industry has a long way to go. But if we do carry on with people like me being there to remove the stigma and everything, we can definitely kill it.
Yeah, definitely.
We have the dicks, we have the
you have everything.
we have
you
everything.
Africa.
We have Africa. And that's what the whole world wants. The world most of the time when I'm in spaces whatever, American content creators confuse me for being part of them until I speak.
And then they're just
once they speak, they're where you from?
Where you from, darling?
I'm so the world wants that. They're fascinated about Africa, how we speak, how we carry ourselves.
What do you think about people saying, I want to know what sexual role you are.
Okay.
And what do you think about people saying verse sex is better? And do you necessarily have to be verse? I feel like there's this pressure to be versed in porn, where I feel like there's no more bottom top thing anymore. It's you gotta be versed if you want versatility and if you want to be a booked girl, You've you've got to be able to, penetrate and also receive, and that's how you're gonna get booked. And I don't know. I'm very keen to get your kind of opinion on that. What are your sexual roles, and what do you think about people having to be just verse so that they can be getting booked in porn?
Okay, my roles, I am versatile,
Yes.
but I'm sexually fluid.
Okay.
So what that means is that, yes, I'm versatile, I can give and receive, but me being sexually fluid is that, like, if I get booked into a porn scene that has a bisexual woman, a straight man, and a trans man, I'd still be able to, like, perform well,
Yes.
With regards to, like, being versed in the porn industry, that definitely has an advantage because, I mean, if you're getting booked to top, you can do it. If you're getting booked to bottom, you can do it, But you still need to be able to do both, You can't just, like, say, okay, cool, I want to be versed because then I'm going to get booked more. Like, you still need to be able to perform in that role that you're in, So, with me, I'm like I said, I am versatile. However, a lot of my viewers enjoy seeing me
Bottoming.
Yes. They enjoy seeing me take dick. And because, like I said, I am a business major, like graduate, I study my market and my audience, and as much as, like, I decide what I want to give them, but like it's also like what they want,
Very true.
So I curate my content around that, most of the time me taking the bottoming role, but that's when I'm on camera. Off camera, honey.
You out here living your best life.
I am there, like, enjoying ass. Like,
I'm very keen to find out, what does your family think about you doing OnlyFans and being a sex worker?
Okay.
I think this is a very important thing. And even in terms of that, how do you navigate relationships if you want to explore the idea of being in a relationship with someone?
like a romantic relationship. Okay.
Yeah.
Let's start with the family question. So, like I said, how I specified, like, with regards to the whole cyberbullying, I don't allow cyberbullying to get to me.
Yes.
Same way, like I said, like, family is not immune to boundaries.
Yeah.
So with my family, I only told the ones that I want them to know.
Yeah.
I told them when I started, and when I started, like, my popularity was very weird because when I started, that's when, So I was like, okay, cool. I'm becoming big. Let me tell who I want to tell. So
yes.
I told some of my family members, and I told them not because they deserve to know, but because I wanted them to know. Because I know that there's people that are spiteful. Maybe the people that know me and might know them
they'll just
might see my content and scream and be like, So I loved for them to, like, hear it from me.
Yes.
With regards to my sister, which is my best friend, with her, she's very accepting. It's just a matter of she wants you to teach her. Like, what is this? What's that? The relationship with my dad, I kind of lost it, like, when my stepmom came in the picture. I stopped being the favorite son.
Eesh.
I was the favorite son. I was daddy's boy, So with him, I just felt like, you don't deserve to know. It's whatever. Like, you've chosen who you want to be your priority.
Yes.
But he definitely knows as well. It's just that we don't talk about it. I talk about it with my sister. My sister, if anything, like, she actually, like, applies it in her life as well because she has 2 sons. I remember the last time when I went to go visit her, she was like, let's take a drive. So usually when she says let's take a drive, she wants me to drive,
like DMC vibes.
Yes.
Yeah.
So then she was like, no, let me drive. Cool, because I want you to do the talk, because I can't multitask, like, I can't talk and drive. So I remember she was like, so I told my sons that you're a stripper. And I'm like, why?
Oh.
And then she was like, because I'd rather them hear it from me that their uncle is a stripper. Well, she didn't say porn star.
Yeah,
she said strip
stripper.
because
Yeah,
for them, they're teenagers.
yeah, thinking,
So she was like, I'd like it for them to hear it from me, because when I say it to them, I don't paint it like a bad thing, as opposed to if someone, like, if they hear it from, like, maybe their school or someone who knows me, whatever, they'll be like, oh, your uncle is doing this, whatever,
Yes.
So that was very beautiful for me, because I was like, wow, like, I really like that, the fact that you don't have to understand what I'm doing, but like, you accept it, and, like, as long as I'm happy, you're good.
You're good.
So yeah.
And in terms of relationship, I mean, are you
Oh
scared?
yes. No. I'm a love at heart. I'm a love at heart. It's just that, like, in South Africa, there's not a lot of, like, guys that have
open-minded.
Yeah, that are open-minded to that
Yeah,
level, you know. Like,
ooh, it's tough.
It's tough.
It's very tough.
You know, and because I'm a lover and like I genuinely like really love, I'm never gonna be in a relationship if it's not fulfilling
really
me.
genuine.
You know.
Yeah.
So yeah, I just feel like a lot of guys that want me, they just want the fantasy of dating a porn star.
Literally.
You know, they don't. They're not ready to deal with what comes with it, you know. Like, from how they have to be a very like secure person. You can't be insecure. You can't be insecure because there's niggas that are hollering at me every day. You have to be secure about that and know that like if I choose you, I choose you. You know, you have to be secure enough to know that like my job is to have sex with other guys, but just know that like sex with me and you is different than when I'm having sex with like a client or like a collaborator, you know. So I'm definitely like, I'm always open on love. I once cut niggas off, but I once had a very strong spiritual experience. And it was the first time I saw my mom after she died, like after like years. So like in the spiritual experience that I had with her, she told me, she's like, I don't want you to give up on love. So she was like, because I died very early, I want to put the love that I have for you in a man, and I want him to love you the way I would have loved you if I was.
Wow.
So
listen, it's been so really lovely having this chat. They want us to wrap it up for the people. Listen, what would you like to say? I mean, I'm so sorry to just literally interject, but I think it's amazing that through the sexual activity that you were having, you had that spiritual interaction to be able to tap into, actually have an engagement with your mother. I thought for me that's so beautiful. Because not only does it just show that she's approving of the life that you're living, she's also approving of the person that you are.
That I am.
And I think I love that so much. You know? What would you like to say to somebody out there who is young and who's queer and who also wants to actually, you know, get into porn eventually one day and stuff like that? What would you like to say to them?
Don't allow yourself to be boxed. Pick yourself, choose happiness. Choose happiness, and don't necessarily do things for money. Because if you do, you're gonna trap yourself. You're gonna find yourself in situations whereby people are offering you like a whole amount of money for you to do something you're not comfortable with. Do this knowing that it makes you happy. Don't do it because I don't know, you love sex, and you know, do it because like it's genuinely you know, and you want to impact like a positive impact into like the industry, because we need a lot of that like in our industry. So
oh guys, why you gotta end this? What did we do? I know. Listen, it's not over until we play, you know, a show, until we play a segment on the show. Who would you top bottom of it? Obviously, Marlon, on this show, it's very important for us to play Who Would You Top Bottom of Verse.
Okay.
You know, I mean, you already mentioned to us you was verse, so I'm gonna give you 3 names.
Okay.
And you gotta decide who would you top bottom of verse.
Okay.
All right, cool. We have Raheem, the famous porn star that's leading out there in America doing the damn things.
Raheem Shabazz.
Raheem Shabazz. Yeah, and then we've got Jason Derulo. Guys, who is Jason? Jason Derulo. Yeah, and then we've got Gabrielle Union.
Okay.
Yeah, so who would you top bottom of hers, honey?
Alrighty, I would top Gabrielle Union.
Yes, okay.
I would allow Raheem Shabazz to top me at bottom for him.
Okay, so you bottom for him? Okay,
yes.
Okay, cool.
And I am gonna bottom for Raheem.
Okay. Oh wow, it's gonna happen. Which obviously means you're gonna verse with Jason Derulo.
Yes, I'll definitely verse with Jason Derulo. Yep.
Jason, you better give us a ring, honey.
Hey.
Oh, Marlon, this has been amazing. This has been incredibly amazing. Thank you so much for the work that you're doing in the sex work lane. Thank you so much for also preaching sexual positivity. Thank you so much for also preaching sexual health, because I know that's also something that we didn't really get to touch on in this conversation, but I know it's something that you do. You know, you have these articles out there that people, please, if you want to download them, check out some of the things. I mean, he has given tips on how to bottom. He has given tips on how to practice safe sexual health within the porn industry, which is something that I really, really appreciate, that the work that they're doing. So, Marlon, please keep at it. keep going.
Thank you.
And I think you're creating an awareness, and you're also creating a safe space for people in an industry that people didn't think would make money from.
Yeah.
Because I think in this country and in this continent, sex work can be a lucrative thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it can be a lucrative thing.
Yeah.
So thank you so much, my love.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
All right, everybody. It has been an amazing conversation chatting to Marlon 67. Do make sure that you go out there and follow them on all those social media platforms and keep up with the work that they are doing. My name is Mondi, the queer superhero. Remember to love yourself in all shades. Bye bye.